as a start
Yes,
the videos.
yes, not. Fucking hell.
All right, welcome
Yeah, hello.
to going through Reddit.
Yeah, it is one of those,
Reddit
but
review.
this one has a bit of a twang to it, a bit of a twist, a bit of a
We
tinge.
we can't really go through the Reddit without discussing probably the thing that is ruling it at the moment, being not inherently this meme you're looking at right now, but certainly the impact that it's had on the deep rock zeitgeist of Reddit right now.
Yeah, it's like this is the first time we've gone into this with the topic, because we're not really going to be looking at anything other than this. There's not going to be any time or any reason.
Yeah.
It would just be lost anyway. It would be pointless talking about anything else, because it's not going to shift from this. So you might be wondering what the hell we're talking about, and if you don't know, then maybe you should leave, because you're better off not knowing. You're blessed.
Yeah.
But it all came from this.
Which I think you got to scroll up a bit to get the full meme, right? There's a bit of top text missing.
Oh, there is actually. You're right.
There we are. And yeah, it's this meme, which I'll be honest, I might be kind of dumb, but it took me like 2 reads to understand what the point was. So, add women to Deep Rock Galactic mental gymnastics. The devs have said that all dwarves are men. It will be cool to add an option to be a woman. Not much mental gymnastics.
No, very
there
little.
There are already women in Deep Rock mental gymnastics. Tolkien said dwarf women look the same as dwarf men. Whatever Tolkien said about Lord of the Rings applies to Deep Rock. So, I mean, maybe there's already women in Deep Rock. Who knows? And there's, as you can see, a lot of mental gymnastics.
There's still a lot of mental people.
Yeah, and this sparked a bit of a debate, putting it nicely. And I feel like before we move on,
I wouldn't call it debate, I'd call it political unrest.
Yeah, this is a pretty mean-spirited meme, right? Like, out the gate. Like, and I'm not like I'm offended by it or anything, but clearly this was meant to rile up some people, right? Like,
it's meant to rile up the people who try and apply reasoning as like to say that there are already women in the game. Basically, that's just as simple as that.
Which I guess would also be a good time to state that, as much as I'm on the side of
so our headcanons,
there are women already there.
Well,
which is
unfortunately, Tyler, there isn't a side because we're wrong.
Yeah. Because I guess now would be a good time to look at the dev comment, which is probably one of the most influential comments they've left in a while, or like the things they've said in a while. So here it is. Do you want to read this one?
I think I probably should. I think it's from Jacob. He's all over the place. He's like, I think he's a community manager or something. Either way, he's he would be the one who's on this. People are free to think that they will what they will. That's just, as you know, English isn't his first language. Not having female dwarfs in DIG is our own fault. It's something we wanted to do, but we also managed to dev ourselves into a corner where it's going to be a huge task to get all the game systems working with a new character model, plus recording years and several updates worth of voice lines. Yeah, it doesn't really... Whatever. It sucks, but that's where we are now. We've chosen not to take the easy way out and fall back on explanations such as female and male dwarves being indistinguishable from each other. However, feel free to use whatever headcanon you like. It's your game too. Also, lock in the comments since people are getting out of line. We'll be back later with a hammer. So, the official canon is that all the dwarves in game are male. Yes, we have just separate headcanons. I think it's probably important that people... You didn't really explain... You said it, but I feel like people should probably know where we stand.
Yeah, well, I'm of the opinion that like, if there needed to be women, I was perfectly fine with either saying that either Scout or Engineer are the women, or Gunner and driller, because there is this clear line between those two. Some of them are the more frail types, even though they've got like the same bodies. It's like the armor and the deepness of the voices, or lack of deep voice. Those two things, that engineer and scout, were more feminine than the other two. But I could always made a point that, you know what, it would be funny if it was the other way around, and that the more deeper voiced, larger ones were the women. So I was of that opinion that, you know, it is what it is. But obviously, which is fine, as what the dev says. I can think what I damn well please, but it is a fact that, apparently they have always wanted to add women. It would just be too much of a Herculean task at this point. And the more time passes, the worse it is, right? Because it's really with the several updates worth of voice lines. They're adding voice lines constantly. Not to mention every DLC they add every season is another armor set that they would have to change for the new model. And all the headgears would probably have to be adjusted as well, because I imagine their head sizes would be a bit different. And as every update passes, it becomes harder and harder to add a female model to the game, which is what they're saying here.
Well, my headcanon is that the dwarven species is genderless, basically, and that they're probably just like sculpted from rock and they're born instead. They don't.
I saw.
They don't have. They don't have nipples. All right, let's just point that out. They don't have nipples, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm just saying. I think they're just a genderless species that just use male pronouns.
You got like some commenters, like literally the one just below this one, say everyone knows that dwarves reproduce through mitosis, like
dwarves
stuff like that.
Reproduce by cutting their entire beard. The beard then grows. The beard then grows into a dwarf over time. I like that, actually. I don't think we're necessarily here to talk about dwarven biology, but at the same time, what we are to talk about is a fairly touchy subject, and it really is the most political video that we've done, and probably will ever do. I hope. But it's like what this comment from Jacob also means is that they have a version of dwarven women in their head, and they are distinctly different from the dwarven men, which is why they know that it will require them to make new character models instead of them just changing the canon so that they don't have to make new models. But they do, because they know that the dwarven women look different.
And the fact that they would need to add new voice lines. They're not just going to pitch shift again. It's probably going to be that they're going to get a woman to do all the voice lines, which I think at this point in time, it's unreasonable for anyone to do all those voice lines. I already feel sorry for the guy who's already got to do them. Terry, you're not a woman here. Hey. Unless you want to be all the female dwarves voice actors.
Look at that! They'd be like old women. They'd be like...
But yeah, it's... I don't know, I think it's interesting, and I think it's... I wouldn't say it's brave of like Jacob and the Ghost Ship, really, because Jacob wouldn't just do this, right? This is not something that he himself was like, okay, I'm going to do this. This was probably a thing that he went to the team and was like, should we discuss this? Like obviously,
to the point where they needed to clarify.
Yeah, this post blew up, right? Like this is probably one of the biggest posts out there right now, or out there ever, really. And so they kind of had to comment it, but this is not a comment that Jacob could have just willy-nilly said. This is probably something a actual Ghost Ship response to why there aren't women in Deep Rock, which is something, because I looked at it the other way, in that this is just me, but I think if all of the dwarves were women, or like maybe what they weren't dwarves and they were like all women elves, I probably wouldn't play the game. That is just objectively, I can't really put myself in an experience with a women main character. This is the same with like movies and books and all that stuff.
There are some facts about the draw of Deep Rock that people sort of have to accept, and one of them is that dwarves are an inherently, in concept, masculine fantasy sort of race.
Yeah.
Much like the elves are a more feminine race, by the way.
And obviously, as the post betrayed, that's mainly Tolkien, right? He put those implications to those characters. He made the dwarves Jewish and male.
You didn't need to use the word.
Yeah, well, it's
Well,
not the
that
term,
part
but yeah,
sort of
like,
kind of been stripped away because now dwarves are very glorified and sort of like a desirable sort of like thing
yeah. But the
to
point
imagine
is
yourself
that,
as. That's why people
you
like
know,
deep rock.
it was Tolkien's like approach of the dwarves that formed the rest of the dwarven zeitgeist, right? Same with the elves, and I think it then carries over to the like Ghost Ship. Obviously, there were like dwarves, and if you were to inherently like carry over dwarven culture, dwarven things from like things you watch, like Tolkien stuff, it would inherently become really masculine, like giant guns and big beards and all that kind of stuff, because they are a very masculine entity in like fantasy.
And frankly, DOG is a very masculine game, right? So I think they were probably discouraged like by their own creation very early on from going down the route of female dwarves because the game feels so inherently masculine
sense.
And if we have, like I said, there are some facts about sort of what makes deep rock appealing that you have to accept, and one of them is that it's sort of it just
appeals to
very,
the male fantasy.
It appeals to the male fantasy, and like camaraderie and things like that are very. They are more masculine themes, and it's a very difficult subject to navigate. But there's like,
it's because it doesn't
invalidate
it's a bit of an ancient. It's a bit of a ancient kind of thing, which is probably why Ghost Ship do feel kind of responsible, because obviously, Deep Rock, as like a company, a thing, they are like a mining company / army, right? And both of those things have been heavily male dominated for most of history. So if they were to research and gather like kind of like propaganda posters, all that stuff, everything would be pointing towards like male exploitation. It's just everything that this game pulls from is so masculine generally, and obviously those barriers have been torn down recently, right? Like more women in the army, stuff like that.
As they should, but it also in a way it does stem from sort of, I guess, the way society was, but also sort of traits that men are inherently more drawn to, sort of like camaraderie, sort of the teamwork, sort of I don't know, just sort of working together against unstoppable odds. It tends to be things you don't see as much appealing to women as much, so they probably just didn't think about it. They probably don't want to admit that they didn't think about it that much.
There is an example, though. I would say, yeah, like there is an example. Obviously, like the it's not suffragettes, but I can't remember the name of them. Like during World War I or II, there was like those posters of like the woman with a strong arm, that kind of stuff. There has been strong women propaganda, that kind of stuff, but it's just, I don't know, it feels like they got lost in establishing and researching the feeling of what it would be, mining company / army as dwarves, and it's just so wouldn't fit like anything that was really for women back in the day, right? I think that's the issue, right? Is that dwarves, Tolkien's dwarves, army and all that stuff, mining corporations, they are all ancient like relics of like things. Obviously the army's moved on now, but they don't want a modern army, right? Deep Rock Galactic isn't a modern army team. It's really very ancient, very brainwash, fight them, they're the enemy kind of system, right? And I think it was them going back in time to pull from those sources that resulted in a complete lack of woman
so this does
enter
a weird realm that unfortunately doesn't work as, it works as an explanation, but it doesn't work as an excuse. Not that I think they're in a position where they need to give excuses in that sort of way, because as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with the game for not having not being able to play as a female character. But I feel like there is an explanation that the company Deep Rock Galactic wouldn't hire women, and I believe that because they're a terrible company. It's in the law, but it's like that doesn't really work from an outside perspective. Just like when you consider it from any other perspective other than just law, it doesn't really work, which is why I don't think they've really proposed that. Which is, I'm glad that they didn't write that, but I still believe that to be the case.
Yeah, and yeah. Well, obviously, it's kind of obvious how they ended up so far down the game line without adding women, right? Like how they ended up with launching the game with just all men. How that would have occurred, right? Because they focused on just kind of adding to the game, the content, not really that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, yeah, as time passed, it seems like it's just become harder and harder. And realistically, and this is gonna sound bad, I'm gonna be out the gate, but this is the only reason that they would need to add female characters is to make women feel included. Not that that's a bad or a good thing, that's just a fact, right? That gameplay wise, nothing will change if they change the women characters. I mean, obviously, I guess, more cosmetic variations, there is that positive, but it is for women to play as women to feel more welcomed and feel more included in the game. That is really the only benefit.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out,
other than the political, there's now women in the game.
Because this is where things can get a little bit dodgy, but I think I've got a view on it that would be fairly palatable. That would be good, but I don't think any game developer has a responsibility to do that. It's like, the reason the game is the way it is because of creative decisions, and there's a sacredness to me in creative decisions being uninfluenced by politics. They made these, it's there's potentially an oversight that they didn't add female dwarves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also a higher chance that it was just an active choice just to make it a very masculine focused game, and to not that they deliberately left the females out, but that they more deliberately made it male focused. But then you have games,
I think,
how many men play Nier and Bayonetta, right? You know what I mean?
I've never even thought of playing those.
No, but I'm fairly certain they probably have more male players than female.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's because of the empowering female main character as much, at least for Bayonetta, her looks, right? But I don't know. I feel like first of all, right? This isn't really anything, but if they did add women to Reddit Galactic, they would be just as ugly as the men, right? Out the gate, right? That's gonna be a thing. I don't think you'd have to worry about
So, okay, this made me think of a really important point, right? I don't think there's any men who feel like they are represented by the dwarves in Deep Rock.
Yeah.
I don't see myself in them. Well, actually, I do. But I don't. Not because I'm a man, though, or because they're male. It's because they're dwarves, and I like dwarves. They're a fantasy species, and I think, the reason why the developers don't have responsibilities because this is the type of game they wanted to make, and if it doesn't appeal to you because of that, unfortunately, that's not their problem, or it might not be for me to say, but it's.
Well, I think it's the case that as game developers, right, not as politicians or anything, they don't want to add women to be inclusive. They're just, as game developers, it's not pleasant to exclude half the world, right, or women from games. It's just, you want your games to be inclusive, not only because that's a good game to have, right, but also because then you're not missing markets, right?
Yes, and but I feel inclusivity is an abstract subject. It's an abstract concept, right?
Yeah.
Women can play the game. It's a feeling we're talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it is a case that, it wouldn't hurt them.
No, it wouldn't.
To add them.
No.
But as
the
they
thing
say,
is, though, there's actually a bunch of losers out there who would actually be turned off of the game if they added women, and obviously they should absolutely not be catering for them at all.
Yeah.
Much less than the people who want female dwarves, certainly.
I assume anyone that would be like, if they added women to the game, they'd be like, nah, I ain't playing this shit. Probably with the one that was hit with a hammer. Like,
It should be hit with hammers. Idiots.
Yeah, no. Because I mean, first of all, if they did add women to the game, as previously mentioned, probably most of my scouts and engineers would end up being women, just because I would lean into the fact that they are leaner characters.
Well, I'd have a gunner who was a woman, because he'd be Big Bertha. This is how it works.
That's
It's a pretty
fair,
straight line
yeah.
of reasoning to me.
Yeah, that is. But yeah, I don't know. I mix it up, but like generally, as mentioned, and this is just me, and obviously has nothing to do with the thing. But I'm not entirely fond of female main characters. I can't really get immersed in that. Obviously, make games for females and other men that can. Just I can't do that for some reason. I think it's due to the fact that I don't really talk to women, so I don't really understand. Like it is the fact that I don't know what's going on in their heads. They're an alien species, you know what I mean? No, I'm not really kidding, but I obviously am. But it is
for me, it's not about that. As in, I see a lot. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of female-led games tend to market themselves on that. And you don't see it on the other side because it's much higher. Having a male protagonist is much more common. I was about to say normal, but it's just like it's not really thought of. But when it's a female protagonist, you notice, but that's because it's such a minority. But when you have like a game, like my favorite game of if I had to pick a game of the year, it would be Chorus, which has a female protagonist. But I wasn't drawn to Chorus because it has a female. Because you play as a woman. I was drawn to Chorus because it's fucking sick.
You just play as a ship, do you?
You fly a ship. You don't really see your. To be fair, you don't actually see your player character that much. In gameplay, you don't see her.
Loophole.
It's a loophole. But that's that's never what draws me to a game. I wasn't drawn to Deep Rock because they're all men. I was drawn to Deep Rock because it's dwarves in space.
Yeah. But then I would argue that dwarves in space is only as appealing because we are men, and that's because it is a fact.
No, you're right.
Dwarves are the male fantasy, right? They are bulky blokes with huge beards that beat the shit out of everyone, and they are just like, hell yeah, that's a man. And obviously, what defines a man has changed over time, but like as far as like bulk text man, and at least in the past, dwarves are it, right? And so
and also FPS and sci-fi as two sort of concepts / genres. I'm sure the stats would show that they are enjoyed by men far more, especially FPSs, I should say.
Because once again, obviously the gaming industry, probably maybe not anymore, but I'm not sure if there's been studies on it, but obviously it's pretty male dominated, or at least was. It probably is pretty equal.
It appears male dominated because and
it hide
was
from the men.
Yeah, as they should, because men are when it comes to voice chat especially, men tend to just be awful. I've never seen an instance of a woman interacting in voice chat and her not getting just harassed.
I think the only I probably shouldn't talk about this, but Tom has a girlfriend who plays games, and he tells me stories, and it's pretty fucking ridiculous. Like she can't actually be in a party without being hit on. Like it's just not an occurrence. Like and
she doesn't even know what the fuck. But that's not what it's about though. This is just about the decision to not include female dwarves, which I just don't think there's a problem with.
And it comes down to the fact that at this point in time, obviously they would want to, and most people would like there to be women characters in the game. If not because they're a woman, they want to feel included. If not, just because we'd like to have some different customizations. That would be cool. Maybe add women, add a customization overhaul. That would be fancy. You know what I mean? But
if it was part of a customization overhaul,
that'd be sick. But obviously they can't. Well, at least they it would be so much effort is what they're saying, and obviously they might in the end, but if you look at it in a pure numbers way, it wouldn't be worth it.
Exactly, it wouldn't be worth it for them for the game. It wouldn't do the game enough good. There's only a few really specific examples that people give where it's just like, and I haven't even seen any examples of like actual like people being turned off because of that. I mean, actually, I have seen a few, but it's just like, how many people is that really in total?
Yeah. And what I think is really interesting, we haven't really commented specifically. Like, obviously, we talked about why they can't do it, but it's really interesting that they specifically chose not to take the shortcut, right? And they say it themselves, right? They're not going to say the easy way and say that there already is females in the game, right? They're not going to do that because they know that's basically meaningless. But it's also on the flip side.
But it would be much better, in my opinion, to make it meaningless.
Yeah, they're not also not saying that like what you think, like maybe this, because this is obviously just everyone, however you think about the game, that's on you, right? It's your experience, your game. But like if a woman does for some reason decide that Scout and Engineer are female, then she could play them. I'm not sure if that's ever been a thing, right? But it's kind of the point that you can kind of just play the game and see it however you want to see it, and it's interesting. But yeah, they didn't actually just say, oh, the women, there's women already there. Like they were like, no, we didn't add women, and that's on us.
Yeah. Can I just point out, if they had made them a completely genderless species, that would have been it's the easy way out. But there's so many benefits to that,
though, right? But like they are so clearly not genderless.
I know. No one's ever gonna feel like they're not men.
Yeah,
they're always gonna feel like
they
men.
got beards. They've got deep voices. They drink alcohol.
Okay,
right.
What? The alcohol bit's a bit weird.
But,
you mean beer? Beer is more masculine than most alcohol.
And drink pints upon pints, mugs upon mugs of beer at a bar. Right, that's not really. I think that's a very stereotypical northern bloke. Oh, I'm gonna go to the bar.
Heavy 63 pours worst pad ever. Has to leave the pub.
Yeah, like obviously, just because it may or may not be true. If anything, it's a stereotype for men. But like, it's still they added a bar full of beers on purpose because once again it reinforces also dwarves drink a lot, but it's also inherently a masculine stereotype that they would drink a lot.
I mean, the dwarven archetype is a combination of male fantasies and stereotypes. It's just very weird. I think we might want to hear what some other people have to say.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what comments we should be expecting because I imagine the top ones are either going to be incredibly supportive or just memes. Because I imagine any spicier ones get downvoted and or removed. I'm sure if we want to find those ones, but
no, I want to look at other posts. There's other posts about this.
Right.
I want to find those, so I'll pause, and we can cut to when we find the first one. All right, we found one. I'll just read it. Okay, I'll share your personal headcanon here. I wonder if anyone has. Yeah, I guess I have. I'll start. Dwarves are hermaphroditic. Damn it. Dwarves are hermaphroditic.
Dick.
Shut up. Meaning they can possess both male and female reproductive structures. Mining an alien planet and killing alien bugs requires a lot of strength, so they increase their testosterone, or dwarven analog, to help gain muscle faster. This would have been done before shipping out and is achieved consciously by a strict regimen of meditation and alcoholism. Sometimes a special beer is used to speed things along, but often not. Too Long didn't read. Dwarves change their gender to adapt quicker to certain situations. Also see the Culture series by Una M. Banks. So, clearly someone is just trying too hard, I think. They apply reasoning. Although then again, it is headcanon.
They have both, but because of their situation, they're very masculine, is what I
think
say.
That would be really poor to adopt this as the explanation on Ghost Ship's part. I guess he's not suggesting it; it's his headcanon. But still.
Which is why, I know. Which is why it's the interesting thing because Ghost Ship could have done something like this, right? They could have said, "Oh, they're all both," or "There's mixed in between." Or
they're Sontarans.
We'll tell you which.
You know, Sontarans. They're a clone race and they're all men.
Yeah, but instead they they said, yeah, no, they're all men, and we just forgot to add women.
Honestly,
Sauce.
now this will rustle some jimmies, but frankly, not the best, but a good explanation would just be that they're all just clones of Carl, you know? Something like that.
Yeah.
It would work pretty well, and people would appreciate that because it would maybe provide some answers about Carl as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is they didn't want to do that. they wanted to they because it's not even like they wanted to come up with a law reason, right, to justify it. They didn't want to justify it. They wanted to confront it, which is why it's so cool. It's sure they could have came up with an in-universe law reason as to why they're all men.
So, but then,
why they all look
so
like
we
men.
know that they are all men, and that means dwarf and women exist. So would you agree, based on what they said, though, that the most Occam's razor, like the most simple explanation, like what they said leads to is just that DRG wouldn't hire dwarven women. That's like, I think that makes the most sense, doesn't it?
DRG doesn't hire women. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Cut out a bit. Yeah, no, yeah. I think that's law reason.
The most logical.
Yeah, that's.
It's not
that is
what
the
they've
only
said,
thing
though.
They can come to conclude.
Yeah.
Because like every gunner, engineer, scout, and you know so forth, they are different people, right? Every different person is a different dwarf of those categories. So the percentage of men in that workforce is literally 100%, right? Because obviously no one's ever seen a woman in the games or in real life. But yeah, so it is a fact that they have never hired a woman for at least that part of the I don't know, work. Maybe
Just
there's
in case
women
anyone's
elsewhere
taking
in
this
the
out of
rig.
context, we're talking about the fictional company Reddit Galactic,
Yeah.
not Ghost Ship Games. Not...
No, yeah. We know they hired women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore that. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about this guy's headcanon?
I think there was some actual like headcanon because obviously he said share yours, but just skip over the big-titted dwarf GF one.
That's my laptop. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if making them hermaphroditic would help. I don't know if that would be viewed as controversial or not if they did choose to make it that way, but I don't know.
It's unnecessarily complicated, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's find another one. All right, guys. Someone with a hot take on dwarfettes, which, by the way, I think that's an okay name for them. I know Ghost Ship Games.
Get that?
What?
Because that's just what everything does, right? That's Smurfette. Like they just add "et" at the end of. Like, if it's so clearly a masculine race, but there's a woman, they just add "et" at the end.
I wouldn't call the Toads I wouldn't call the Toads or the Smurfs particularly masculine.
No, but they are male. There's like 99% men. All the pictures of them are men, and then there's like a woman version, and they could put "et" at the end.
They're not men. They're bozos.
You know what I mean.
Either way, this lovely fella. I know Ghost Ship Games said they coded themselves into a situation, but I would rather delay Season 4 rollout for a cosmetic lineup of dwarfettes. I play with my missus and she loves the game. It would make her year. I would pay for it with the DLC, hands down. You know what, actually, so there's two ideas here. Number one is delay Season 4 so they can make female dwarves. The other one is make female dwarf DLC. So I don't know how the DLC would play out. But that wouldn't look good, would it? Actually, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I don't know what they think that would be, but there would only be like a certain armor and
Could be,
headgear that
voice
makes
pack.
them look like a woman.
Could be a voice pack. You know.
Maybe, but there's not a select voice pack option.
They would add it for that. That would be the.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think this person understands what they meant.
I think this person is leaving out. No. I think this person probably
the
isn't stupid. They're
Delaying
just
Season 4.
no. Listen. I don't think this person is stupid. They're just leaving out a lot of reasoning.
Yeah,
not without admitting it. I think if they thought about it, they would know. But they're just saying these things because it sounds good to them. But
yeah. Well, no, I think this person clearly doesn't get that if they want to delay the season. Well, I guess if it was only a DLC level, then it wouldn't take that long, right? They just added armor that makes them look woman and a helmet that makes them look woman, then job done. But that is so clearly not the point, right? That was not what they were saying they were going to do. It would be a complete just doubling of everything that is currently in the game cosmetically, in terms of the dwarf, right? They'd have new models, so then new armors, new hairs, new everything. They need to be like shifted a little bit to actually stick to I assume a different size face, and then obviously all the voice lines. And I don't think they realized that's not. And also, wouldn't you feel weird paying to be a woman? Wouldn't that be a bit weird?
What do you mean by that?
If you want to play as a woman, you have to pay money.
Yeah.
And it's so
like
clearly just like
it's the dwarves.
Bit.
It's the dwarves getting a sex change. They have to pay for it. What do you mean?
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't. Yeah, I don't think
It wouldn't look good. At the same time, don't delay it. And look, like I said, I think this guy, it would be very easy to just tell him that that's not how game development should be. I don't. Like, what I'm saying is that I don't think he would be very. I don't feel like this is a very stubborn opinion. Basically, and I think his lady is just like loves the game and wishes that when they were female dwarfs, so he's just making a post about it. I think it's pretty simple.
Although no, it's not even that. It's his wife wants female dwarves, which is something, right? Immediately, that there's at least one person that would really like female dwarves to be represented by a female dwarf, which I think is completely fair. But I think he is scaling down the effort that would take to make that request reasonable, and it just isn't that. Unless,
I don't think he would ignore that if you just told him how much effort it would take. I think, I didn't think about that. Maybe.
Yeah, and if you told him how scuffed it would be if they had to buy the right to be a woman.
And also the fact that it's just, on most levels, on almost every level, it's far more. It's just there's no value in delaying content for this. It would hurt them. It would hurt. Like the player base wouldn't like it.
Plus, it's a DLC. Just release it whenever they finish it, right? Like if they wanted it to be a DLC, which I think generally this idea is not pleasant, but like obviously it comes from a good place and a place that Ghost Ship recognizes. But this is not the way that they would go about it, or most people would. Well, that's basically what it would be, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A DLC. It would just be armor gear that looks like they have tits. That would be it. And maybe a headgear that makes them not look as ugly or sorry, less wrinkly.
Okay, let's get out of here. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's a bit scuffed.
Wow. What a...
Yeah, I think before you pause it, this whole topic has really made the Reddit a bit icky.
Yeah,
it's like just as we have, it's a bit stepping on hot coals, trying to avoid stuff, and some people don't, and that doesn't go well for them. Like stuff like that. It's yeah, this is a bit scuffed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we have to make a follow-up.
Yeah.
All right, so we found this guy. We're not going to go into this. I just wanted to point it out. It's by Select Tax 3408. It's a reproductive cycle of the dwarf. I think he's just done a bit where he's just explaining it in the most detail possible. You can find that if you want.
Scroll through that quickly.
Oh yeah. Actually, if people can't find it, you can use this.
Nice slow scroll.
And then you can pause there. And you can pause there. There.
Jesus.
And there's more. Oh, actually, that's it. Yeah, there you go. If you want to read that, you can, but we're not going into that. Not in this video. It could be its own video.
Never in a
It won't
million
be.
years.
It won't be though. The real reason I support adding female dwarves is the possibility of putting massive honkers on Driller. These add gut side sliders along with ass scaling so I can make them as fat as possible. This is someone who is down bad for real.
He completely deranged. He wants the honks.
These people are the reason that you shouldn't add female dwarves. These people, they don't deserve
These
satisfaction.
motherfuckers.
He's just like he wants to make them fat.
That's the issue as well, right? They do add female characters to Debacle Galactic.
Oh my god!
And then people jack off to them, and that's an inevitability.
You didn't have to say that part. You could have just mentioned that there would be NSFW art. What, you think people would just
There
the in-game models?
It's not even a fact. Molly, Doretta, fucking Lloyd, all of them are already out there. I don't know about Lloyd.
Yeah, why don't we have a Lloyd Bosco framework yet?
Because they're
right
kind of
there.
goofy like that, where they just don't do simple things because they think it's simple. I don't know, but yeah, point is that there will be the inherent wave of sexualization that will occur.
Yeah, which is honest, that is a topic that we haven't touched on yet because it's the most obnoxious.
Yeah, it will bring out those people.
It's also not inherent. Unfortunately, it's not inherently wrong, even though it feels wrong.
Yeah,
I don't like
and
these
there's
people.
not really any way of stopping it. Like, you can't ban horny guys from changing to the women characters. Like, they're not allowed.
It's not like you should.
Right.
There's no.
Once again, though, I don't think if they did add them that they'd be attractive by any means. But
They should make them as ugly as possible.
at least as ugly as the men, which is pretty ugly.
Well, I'd argue if they tried to make them attractive, it wouldn't work. They'd end up looking like For the King women. You know, like the blacksmith. No, is it the blacksmith? The woodcutter. Female woodcutter.
Yeah.
Just like it wouldn't work.
Well, it's just yeah, like sometimes you see him. It's not really in much stuff. It's in like anime and shit, where it's like there's like male versions of things and like full lizard people or like really ugly, and there's like women version, and they're just literally all just the most stereotypically attractive women ever. like you'll have like male dwarves, and then like super hairy, short, gruff men, and then women dwarves, and they're just women that are short.
No, the women, they're women. They're huge. They would.
Yeah.
The mountainous.
It's I don't know, because even there, because as mentioned, that's why I really, my headcanon is that two of them already are, because I can't really see a woman dwarf looking different enough while also being a dwarf, right? Like, and especially since they seem like they would change them a lot, I'm not really sure how they're going to end up. Like, they might end up being the just attractive woman dwarf for some reason.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Can I add my female Skyrim characters as my female dwarf?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from this devilish fellow.
This devious fiend.
This guy he's got the unspoken priest. He does not. So this is where I originally intended to start this video, but Tyler explained that we should probably go to the actual original post. But we're going to have to look at one of the comment sections and one of these.
There's also at least is the thing at the top of the person that reposted this thing, and love the response regardless of whatever happens in the future. Which is true.
Yeah. Okay, so that's someone who's just correctly understanding how the dwarves work already.
Yeah.
Aren't all the dwarves' voice lines just the same guy but pitch shifted? Yes, they are. And I don't need to look at all this. I want to look at things that start comment threads. Yeah, I guess. What do you mean by that? My headcanon is that female dwarves are, unlike male dwarves, smart enough to find a better job than working for DIG. That's good. That's not bad.
Can't blame them for that, yeah.
No.
Yeah, maybe it isn't that DIG doesn't hire women, it's just that women are just don't want to work for DRG. Which yeah, that would shine better on them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not even a bad idea. Or the women are mining on the dwarven homeworld. They've completely taken over. It's a fully matriarchal society, completely dominated by women.
I could see that being the case.
Or
The dwarves are just drunk and mining all the time.
If they really want to do it, if they want to just add an explanation, maybe some kind of manual that sort of explains a little bit about the dwarven homeworld, just say like they've had like a queen forever, as in it's always been a queen. They don't have kings; they just have the one dwarven queen. Yeah. She's the only woman. No, not that part. Not that part. I think the honesty from them is brilliant. As they said, they could have easily gone for a rather lame explanation like the Lord of the Rings dwarves, or just not responded. Instead, they are just entirely frank, and that is just great. Well, it's a little bit weird because the actual Lord of the Rings explanation isn't that the women are different. They just look similar. Oh, look!
They just have beards and are also ugly.
My headcanon's that we are clones of Carl. It would work as an explanation. I do think it would work. Doesn't mean it's the best one, though.
Didn't they actually deny clone theory, though?
I think they
did.
They
actually legitimately shot down clone theory.
Yeah, even though it makes more sense than that they aren't clones.
Anything else.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just... Well, the problem is, it's just game mechanic logic, though, trying to be explained. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you... Realistically... Not realistically, but really, every dwarf, every loadout you make is a completely different person in the universe, but that also doesn't really work. It doesn't quite work like that. The part where he said, use whatever headcanon you want, it's your game too, cements even more how Chad these developers are. Yeah, because, I mean, it's not like much is set in stone, really, about the Deep Rock universe. You know?
Yeah.
So it's very okay to just think of it however you want and have that be your truth.
And the annoying thing is, though, is that in saying that, obviously it's like they said use whatever headcanon you want is your game too, but they did also cement the fact, and the fact is there isn't women in Deep Rock, right? Yeah, that is a fact.
Yeah, but headcanon is always... That's just what headcanon is. It's not canon.
Sure, but then
version of
what happens to your headcanon when they
there's no
add females?
There's no headcanon when there's an actual explanation. That's just your like interpretation, or you just lying to yourself. Well, not lying to yourself. I mean, when there's no actual canon, it's just your interpretation. But when there is a canon, it's your headcanon. So, what do you mean when they add?
It's just normally like what? Like, like if your headcanon is, engineer, scout, women, gunner, driller, not women, what's gonna happen when they add women, right? Your headcanon is gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be just as valid. And it's just,
What?
a bit of a, what?
Yeah, but your headcanon shouldn't be that important.
I know, but it's as important as the fact is in what it's saying. It's your game too. But if it's your game and that's your headcanon, then them destroying that is not something. The point is it's a bit of an oxymoron stating the fact of the matter, but then you can think whatever you want. Like, there isn't any women, but there might be if you think there are.
I suppose it is an oxymoron, but it is also just how headcanon works.
I know. But normally headcanon is used when we don't know, but now we do.
That's not particularly relevant. Yeah, it's not impossible, just very improbable. Voice toggle and a single great gently resculpted head. Well, the problem, the voice toggle wouldn't work, because what would you do? Like, so pitch shifting won't work. And like saying like, I'd honestly be happy with this, it's like implying that it would be simple. It's like I would be happy if they just did this. But it's like that's not a simple thing to do. Not all.
Yeah, but it's like it's the issue that like how the gradient doesn't add up, right? Because obviously, how it is now, the argument that they are indistinguishable wasn't enough, right? People obviously didn't like that, and even the ghost ship acknowledges that that's not the case. But then, how far away from the male dwarfs do you need to go before it's, I don't know, too much?
Whoa, this is someone who's got issues with everyone, including the devs. They got downvoted. The hell.
Ooh.
Their explanation is dumb, as in the devs. Female dwarves would have beards and fart and burp and everything. They wouldn't have to do as much as they are claiming, unless their view of women is that they must be cute and pretty and follow some typical bullshit. No wonder they don't want to do it. They don't have to be identical, but they can use the same beards, no problem. Same beard. First of all, they never said that the women wouldn't have beards. Figure it out. Talk to a woman too. They probably have one in the HR department at least. Not that they'd hire a female dev. They have female devs.
Oh my god.
Just anger, just pure unfiltered rage with no thought.
I like how
behind it.
I like how he starts out like defending women that they can be whatever they want.
Do you know what? I reckon there's a high chance it's just a man.
No, I do. Because seriously, starts out defending women, saying they can do whatever they want, right? And they need to stop like sexualizing them, making them cute and pretty and stuff. And then they end with assuming the only women there are in HR.
They also said talk to a woman or two. I feel like that's something a guy would say.
Yeah.
They didn't say that the women have to be pretty.
As everything I disagree with them, he did make the same point I did, in that like it wouldn't be that much of a change unless it is a lot of a change, right? That they're mentioning, right? I do agree with the voice lines almost definitely, because they're going to get a woman to voice act all of them, so that would be the main thing, I think. But like it is a fact that like it wouldn't be that much unless they make it that much. But obviously he is very, once again, I'm assuming he is being very volatile about it.
Right. So they didn't. The thing is, Jacob didn't mention any specifics. It's literally the only thing that was really confirmed is that they know that the women aren't identical to the men. That's it. They didn't point out. They didn't say they don't have beards or that they have to be pretty. But I'm still, I just think they could still just ignore that and just have the voice be the only difference. And that would be the biggest thing that would be the biggest work. Like that would be the biggest part of it. Yeah. That would take the most work, but it would also be the only thing I think they have to do.
I still think it honestly at that point in time though it wouldn't be worth the effort, because let's be realistic, a change in the voice line probably won't do much for anyone, right? That probably won't be like, okay, when we're like, okay, yeah, fine, yeah, I feel represented now. I doubt it's that'll do it, right?
I mean, can you even boil it down to like, I'm not a fat person, so I don't feel. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit too. This
is my point, right? I don't know. It's hard to place how much they would have to do to represent well enough. Right?
Yes.
How distinctly different the women have to be from the males, and in what ways.
It's unclear how big of a task. All they know is that it's a big task. It's not even clear how big.
Yeah, and
have to do.
Not to mention they fuck it up, right? they fuck it up. Rip. It
really is better to just not do anything.
Yeah, like it's something, and I don't know. I don't know what this person's even posting about. Like obviously, like everything they've just said, they're basically saying that everything is basically the same. So I don't know. Like same beards. What is even pitching that needs to change? It's just I don't know.
But maybe that's where we should leave it. That really, it's better for all parties if they just don't. People just get on with the explanation that we've got, and Ghost Ship doesn't waste resources on something that won't please enough people.
Yeah, there's a sad thing that this game just won't be able to tap into. Like, it's the same. It's never going to be a PvP. It's never going to have a 5th class. These are just things that people are going to have to come to terms with, that this game was not made for that. And this is something that obviously Ghost Ship do actually feel sorry about. They wish they could have probably got in there earlier and made a woman option. Like, but that didn't happen. That's the issue. And they came forward and owned up to that issue, which
There's an issue with
it's pretty
female
cool.
dwarfs has more vocal outcry than the sandwich update. Roberto.
Yeah. Well, he's OP.
Yeah, I know. Oh god, this person thinks they really need to do it at some point. A modder, yeah, mod.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, the thing is, mods would be a pretty good way of testing the waters. Modders just give some shots. Like some modders, they'll just add their own voice lines, right? They'll get a female to record them. Maybe they're a female because women can work outside of HR. But stuff like that. Like modders could try and find the perfect place to represent, right? Like not super attractive woman like Skyrim mods, but also not so identical.
Okay,
to
hold on.
It doesn't make a difference.
If it's not like that, I'm not buying. Right.
Yeah, if there isn't sex mods with these new hot dwarves and spooning mods, which I swear to God, that was like 3 mods were like the most popular mods in Skyrim, and it was like sleeping animation, woman cosmetics, and then like spooning animation.
Spooning animation.
Yeah, it was because obviously you can't have sex mods on the
Console,
Xbox version,
yeah.
so. The best thing they got was literally just spooning in bed, just like you could cuddle with your like girl companion or wife, whatever.
Your girl companion.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's because they're called companions in the game, woman companion. That point is, that's how sad men get, and which is why it's just so much fire. Actually, this topic is just so much.
It's so fire. What do you mean by that?
It's hot to touch. It is. It's dangerous. It's something that I imagine the development team probably didn't want to come.
Can we get that roadmap like now so we can just take everyone's mind off of this shit?
Yeah, you should probably blindside the drama with that. Also, I've got dinner apparently, so good time to end this.
Yeah, where we're gonna leave it is they've given an explanation. Deal with it because nothing's going to happen, and it's not worth them doing anything about it. That's just the truth.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's too much of a workload. Maybe like 2-3 years ago, it would have been more reasonable. There would have been a lot less things to adjust, but now it's just overwhelming. Especially since they just did a season that added like half an hour's worth of voice lines, right? Like constant voice lines. So they would have to record all of them again, including all the other ones passed in the game with this new poor woman that would have to voice act all of it.
It should be the voice actress for Marge Simpson.
Jesus Christ, she's got enough on her plate.
It would kill her.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
But no. Yeah.
Don't know me.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching this very spicy.
You ain't coming home, me.
Deep Reddit review.
Deep Reddit Galactic, the most controversial episode, the episode that gets us banned. I got banned from the Discord earlier. Yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
I don't think we said anything that bad, except that I exposed that I'm an incel. That's about it.
We might have said something bad.
Which I technically am, but it's not really involuntary if I don't bother. So, I'm just a cell.
Do you know what a volcel is?
A volcel, what's that?
Voluntary celibate.
Isn't that like monks?
Yeah, guess so.
Then
those monks that that left that temple completely unattended because every single monk was on meth. Methamphetamines. They had to do a drug test.
I know what meth is. Actually.
They're all on methamphetamines, and I don't know if I don't know anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As mentioned, gotta go. This has been.
I'm gonna bring up a helpful diagram.
No, you're not. Dwarven woman.
I feel like why didn't it come up straight away?
The new Bloody Lord of the Rings stuff probably did it in. Yeah.
You can't. Okay, look at this. Look, it's Philly or Felicia. Or no, what I was looking for, and it would be in the thumbnail. This one.
Yeah. That's my point. You have the big, fat, ugly dwarven men, and then just woman that's short.
Yeah, this is what most DLG players want.
Yeah.
This is the ideal female form.
Yeah, it just needs to be slightly distinct enough to be able to tell that that's basically what it is. You need to find the middle ground between these two, to where they're clearly a woman. Because honestly, with armor on, you wouldn't be able to tell.
There's a few armors
I already
where you'd be able to tell.
That is the case.
What?
Well, oh, yeah, I guess some of them they do have their shirts off.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that doesn't?
Hold on, isn't it just Driller? Isn't it just Driller?
Driller takes his shirt off all the time.
But it's just him though. That's the thing. Actually, no. I think there's multiple. I think there's multiple Dawn of the Dread ones.
The Dreadnought one, Harry. I need to go. Fucking hell.
Go then. It's fine. I can just say goodbye to them.
All right.
Don't worry. It's won't fail off forever.
All right. See you later then.
I want you to be able to go before I end the video. I want you to be able to do that.
Oh crap.
All right, guys. Tyler's gone.
Bye.
Now I can. Now we're alone. No, actually, that's it. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to rock and stone, and by rock and stone, I do mean like and subscribe. If we did say anything outrageously sexist, please let us know, because it was not intentional. We did navigate this as cautiously as we could, and we do think it's an important topic to cover. It seems to really be on the community's mind, and I guess the point is we kind of don't think it should be, because people view these matters as important, but I think when it comes to media, we need to leave this kind of thing out of it, really. It shouldn't be important when it comes to Deep Rock Galactic. We should be able to just enjoy the game for what it is. And when it comes to suggestions and conversations and debates across the community, it should be about what content we want, more than whether or not we want female dwarves. I see the value in it, but you must also see the other side of how much work it would be and how much value it doesn't provide.
Are you still talking?
I didn't expect you to come back. Bye, everyone.